how transformation begins. It begins with the small things. Hi, it's Paulina, and welcome back to the My Best Self podcast, where we become the best version of ourselves. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today, and my sprained foot. This week has been a little interesting for me. I fell down the stairs, hurt my foot. Thankfully, it's okay. It didn't break. That was like my biggest worry. I just have to wear this boot right here for the next 2 weeks. So that's a little life update. The good thing is, I'm not gonna lie, not being able to really do much has allowed me to spend a lot of time just thinking and brainstorming, writing out podcast episodes, planning for the podcast, which is good. For next week's episode, I'm planning something you guys are going to really, really like. I get a lot of questions about my fitness journey, about working out, all of that. So that is coming next week. I'm making a whole dedicated episode on it. But for today, I want to give you 6 micro habits, tiny habits that you can implement today that are going to change your life. And let me just say something. It really comes down to the small things. If you want to better yourself, if you're in a self-improvement journey, having small habits that are going to better your life, that are going to improve your life, all of that adds up and it ends up making a huge difference. And once you get the ball rolling with certain habits, that allows you more time and more energy and more space to get the ball rolling with other habits. And that is how transformation begins. It begins with the small things. The very first habit, I want you to take 10 minutes of your day, every single day. Take 10 minutes and clean up your space. Whether that be your room, whether that be your home in general, I want you to take 10 minutes and pick up around the house. Take 10 minutes and wipe down your surfaces. Take 10 minutes every single day and check off at least one thing that you had to clean or organize. Your mind is a reflection of your environment and vice versa. If your environment is extremely cluttered and messy, guess what? So will your mind be. You literally can't focus. You can't concentrate when all you're surrounded by is just like a bunch of piles of things, or you're constantly looking around and seeing the tasks that you never completed. If you're looking around and your home is a mess and you never picked it up, and your room is a mess and your bed is a mess and everything is a mess, you're constantly going to be reminded of that mess. And guess what? That's going to reflect in your inner world. You're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to be remembering that you never got to search. So when your space looks that way, it literally causes your mind to feel the same way, to feel cluttered, overwhelmed. Take some time, clean up your room, clean up your home. And I'm telling you, you could literally start with 10 minutes every single day. If you do 10 minutes a day, guess what? Your home will always be nice and picked up and tidy. And it also signals to your brain that you completed a task. So when you're done with those 10 minutes, you're already going to have told your brain, wow, we did something good. And guess what? That feeling of accomplishment is going to carry on with you throughout the day. Definitely try this one out. The next habit. This is amazing for many different things. This is amazing for your hormones. This is amazing for your sleep health. This is amazing for your circadian rhythm, your body in general. At night, I want you to turn off your big lights. Once the sun sets, I want you to no longer have big lights on in your house or any white fluorescent lighting. Only have minimal ambient lighting on. It used to be so hard for me to fall asleep at night. It used to take me like 30 minutes. I just felt like I was tired, but I couldn't sleep. And then I met with a holistic doctor and we were working on balancing my hormones, and she taught me this. So our bodies have a natural circadian rhythm, right? Our bodies naturally know when it's daytime and when it's nighttime. So whenever you have your overhead lights on at night, it can trick your body into thinking that it's still daytime, which suppresses your body's production of melatonin. And melatonin is the hormone responsible for regulating our sleep. So the way that I like to do it, I turn on one light inside my home, the light that lights up the least amount of space. It's like by the kitchen. So I turn that light on and then I'll just, do my thing. Even while I'm washing my face, doing my whole routine at night, I don't turn the light on in the bathroom. I leave the door open and I have that light still on so that I can still see what I'm doing, but it's pretty dark. So I do that, and then I have a little light panel in my room. I turn on the red light at night, and that's about it. And then I just turn it off when it's time for bed. I used to use my vanity light to light up my whole room at night. So I stopped doing that and I get such better sleep now. Of course, I still get outside lighting if I'm like going to the store late at night, or if I go to my friend's house and they have the lights on. But when I'm home and when I'm able to control it, I control it, and it has done wonders. Okay, this next change that you can make is something so small that we overlook. And it's something so small but so big at the same time. Let me explain myself. Limiting the amount of time you spend listening to music and changing the music that you listen to. Hear me out. Our eyes and our ears are portals to our mind and our soul. The imagery that we see, what we listen to, what we consume, it affects us in ways that we have no idea about. Whatever we consume, and right now I'm going to be speaking specifically about the music we listen to. The music that we listen to affects us subconsciously. If we're constantly listening to music with degrading or hateful or just negative messages in general, that is going to be absorbed by our subconscious mind. That is something that we will absorb without even noticing it, without even realizing it. Same thing if we're listening constantly to music that puts us in a bad headspace, to music that ignites our pain and fuels it even, that is harming you in ways you don't even understand, especially if you do it constantly. And look, I'm not saying you have to completely stop listening to music. I'm not saying that you have to completely cut out all your favorite songs, or that you can never listen to a sad song that relates to how you're feeling in the moment. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying be more mindful and be more limiting with it, and also acknowledge the role that this music is playing in your life. For example, if you're always listening to depressing music and you're always really sad and depressed, you have to also acknowledge that you're fueling that with the music that you listen to. I know that that can feel healing sometimes, but nothing in excess is good. If you do this every single day, now you're just perpetuating your pain even further. And also remember, repetition builds belief. So be careful with the music you listen to. Be careful with the lyrics that you sing, because that is subconsciously all programming your mind. For example, I love Bad Bunny. He's an amazing artist. There's a song by him. It's called Maldita Pobreza. Actually, let me find the lyrics for you. You will never catch me singing this, and I don't even like to hear it. It says, pero no puedo, no tengo dinero, maldita pobreza, maldita pobreza. It's just a song about poverty, basically, and it's just repeating over and over, basically, like this damn poverty, this damn poverty. I don't have money. It's just, and repeating over and over. And look, I understand how music like that, songs like that, can bring comfort to people that are struggling with the same message that is being shared in the song. But I really want to emphasize being mindful. And I know these are things that some people might hear me and they might be like, you're thinking about it way too deeply. Like, it's not that deep. The thing is, when you're constantly listening to this, when you're doing it every single day, day in and day out, like, do you understand how much time people spend listening to music in their life? I'm not saying that I never listen to these songs either, just that I try to be as mindful as I can about it and limit myself. And for the most part, I listen to very positive music, songs that are empowering. So that is the habit. It's a small thing you can change that can make a big difference. Even limiting your music and listening to podcasts, listening to educational content, learning something new. The fourth habit, have a second brain. This is a small thing that I do. I write everything down. Not everything, but anything that I know that I need to remember, I write it down in my phone, in my notes app. Anything important, or even if I'm having a conversation, someone mentions something important, I will go and write that down in my notes app. Life is crazy and life is overstimulating, and sometimes it gets hard to remember certain things. So write it down. Write it down. And I use my notes app, and that's literally like my second brain. And even when I meet someone new, sometimes I like to go in, write a couple bullet points of certain things we talked about so that I can remember and so that it stays fresh in my mind, because I don't want to forget. Because I've had those struggles where I literally meet somebody and then I completely forget almost everything that we even talked about. So try this out, especially if you get overwhelmed, if you find yourself forgetting a bunch of stuff. Write it all down. Write it all down. Organize it nicely in your notes, and you're good. Okay, picture the floor covered in $100 bills. Now you have 1 minute to pick up as many bills as you can, and you get to keep all that money. You're picking it up, you're picking it up. Are you going to stop at 55 seconds, or are you gonna use those extra 5 seconds and go as hard as you can and grab as much money as you can? I'm going to use the extra 5 seconds. I'm using every second. I'm using every single second. So you should see your life in that way too. With everything that you do, everything you're doing to better yourself is going to level you up. So why not go a little bit harder every single time? So this is the one more rule. Do one more of everything. Do one more rep at the gym. Read one more page. Once your brain says, okay, I'm done, do one more. This is teaching you a valuable lesson that your brain sometimes may say it's done, but you can always just do one more. And it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to harm you. It's going to just add to whatever you're doing. Well, this is such a simple way to push yourself past your limit and to push yourself past your mental barriers. And it teaches your brain that it's good to embrace effort and to stop shying away from it. And this compounds over time and it helps build that strong, perseverant mindset. And we do have one last habit. And this one, if you listen to the podcast often, girl, I'm so sorry. I hope you're not tired of hearing me say this. But I just had to sprinkle it in because this is one of the most powerful habits that can genuinely, I'm telling you, this is magical. Like, this is genuinely magical. I live by this. I live, breathe, die by this. Like, I'm so passionate about it. This is gratitude. Spend 5 minutes writing down, or even if you do it as a mental list, things that you were grateful for, things you are grateful for in general, things you were grateful for that happened today. Whatever you're grateful for, feel that genuine gratitude. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The past, I would say month, I've been off track with this. Like before, I would practice this every single day. The way that it improves your life is so amazing and so drastic. And I noticed a change. This is something I've been reflecting on this week because I just had like a bunch of random little hiccups come up. For example, I accidentally threw my keys in the trash in the big like garbage bin, and I was just upset about it. And I was like, oh, like, why is this happening to me? And now looking back on it, I wish I wouldn't have made, I guess I didn't make it a huge deal, but I wish I would have just, you're like, okay, it's okay. Like not freak out too much about it. Because then the next day, again, something really random happened to me. I forgot my phone password. I know. How do you forget your phone password? I don't know. But I forgot it and I was so worried and stressed out, and I had vlogged on there. And I was like, no, I'm going to lose my footage. And I just let it like put me in such a low vibration and just like a bad mood. And then it got all figured out and resolved, like everything in life does. And then the next day, I go to my friend's house. I'm heading home. I freaking fall down the stairs. I hurt my foot. And I'm just like, wow. I was annoyed. But then I started thinking and I was like, you know what? You need to stop. You need to stop focusing so much on the negative. And I've always, known this, just that sometimes you kind of slip back into old thought patterns or old habits. And I was just like, no, we're not doing this. So I went to the doctor. Thankfully, it wasn't broken. And now all I can feel is gratitude. And I feel so, so, so thankful that my foot is okay and that I'm okay and I'm good. And this also reminds me how important it is to be thankful. Be thankful for everything, down to your freaking feet that you get to walk on. Like, that is incredible. That is a miracle. And we overlook the little things a lot of the times, or we focus on the problems in our life. But honestly, we're always going to have little problems. Another thing is, things can always get so much worse. And I don't say that to say it in a negative way. I say it to give you perspective. Things could be so much worse. Like, think about how blessed you really are. I want you to really sit and think about how blessed you really are. And that should feel like the most beautiful feeling ever. And to acknowledge this every single day will transform your life in magical, beautiful ways. You will start to acknowledge other ways in which you are so blessed. Life will just start to be a lot more beautiful. And I will leave you with this quote, which I posted on my Snapchat the other day, but it's been my favorite quote for years now. And it is, imagine if you woke up today with only the things you said thank you for yesterday. Remember that always. Remember how blessed you are. And that concludes today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you so much from the bottom of my heart. If you like the podcast, please make sure to support it. Like the video, comment, rate the podcast, all that good stuff. That means the world to me and it helps so much. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Have a beautiful week. I will see you back here Monday at 10 a.m. PST. Bye.